That'd be dope.
Okay. Hey guys, welcome to this week's video. I'm so glad y'all are here today because I have special guest Andrew Laubacher, or ALOB.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's here in Jacksonville. He's gonna do an event tonight at our parish, and so I really just wanted to make a video while I had the opportunity of him being here, talking about a big struggle I feel like for a lot of us, which is finding the middle ground. And we kind of were talking about it last night a little bit. I don't even know if that was last night. That was not last night.
A couple nights.
Yeah. But basically, like, I feel like it's so common to see, like, two, like, extremes. And it's like you're either, like, on your knees praying in a church 24/7, or you're, like, ruining your life partying.
Right.
And it's like, where is that middle? Like, you know, how do you live a normal life, enjoy your life, while, like, doing it to the glory of God, I guess.
That's a huge topic.
Yeah,
but,
kind of broad.
Yeah, I think a couple things come to mind. First, when people think that you become religious, you instantly become boring.
Yeah.
And I think when I actually started practicing my faith, and the truth is we're all religious. So when people say I'm spiritual but not religious, really the word religion in Greek, it means to bind to, right? Everyone's binding themselves to something, whether it's CrossFit, being a vegan, whatever, Netflix, doesn't matter. We're binding ourselves to something, whether it's Fortnite or whatever. Like we're all living and made for community, made for worship. So when people say they're not religious, it's funny because some people are actually more religious than me. I mean, your sports teams, talk about rituals.
Yes,
talk about like rituals and watching game every Sunday or whatever. It's like people are actually very religious. So first I kind of like to bring up that reality, like being committed to following God and living out the teachings of the church. It's actually very natural to the human person. It's funny, a lot of atheists now are, and just non-religious people are meditating, and we're doing like intermittent fasting, and I'm like, bro, we've been meditating and intermittent fasting for 2,000 years. Like, we know it's good for us. So I think right off the bat, just understanding that being religious doesn't mean all of a sudden like you don't have fun. Right. I guess you kind of have to qualify what is fun. Like before, fun for me, yeah, it was like partying and seeing who could get the most drunk or get the most high, and then the story the next day. And that was all of my high school, really. I didn't practice any faith, and that was kind of the goal of the weekend, was to like not remember, and who can do the funniest thing or hook up with as many people. And I don't really consider that fun. That actually brought a lot of anxiety into my life, a lot of drama, a lot of depression, a lot of bondage. So that idea that freedom is doing whatever you want whenever you want, and religion is binding and constricting, and therefore you're not free.
Yeah.
Total lie, right?
Yeah.
So I think, like, actually the freedom I've found in my faith, and especially in the Christian faith, right? Like, this is a very distinct religion. Not to be mean to other ones, or not being mean or you know, judgmental, but truth is exclusive in itself. If something's true, it excludes other realities. So when Jesus claimed to be God, that's very different from when in the Quran it says that, you know, Jesus wasn't God and he never died on the cross. So there's some different views that we have as Christians that I think actually Jesus allows us to live the most free, full life possible. So that middle ground for me, actually, in going to Mass and praying and trying to be chaste and trying not to get, you know, hammered drunk or like, you know, not doing drugs. To me, I'm not saying a bunch of no's to fun. I'm actually saying a greater yes to real authentic freedom. Which means not being like I honestly, and I share this with people everywhere, like, I literally don't remember the last time I was bored.
Really?
I can't think of a time I was bored. Like, following Jesus is, even in the mundane and boring parts of the day, like, I don't know, I'm reading or, I don't know, talking to someone. You're growing. You know, to me, I don't experience this bored, kind of sterile, constricting religious thing. I experience like great freedom in following Jesus. So I think the struggle is right. Like, we want to be part of the world and not be these weird nerds that just pray all day. But we also, like, we want to experience a full life. And I mean, I surf, I exercise, I go to movies, Topgolf.
I look, we've had fun here. We've done like everything.
I've had fun here. We went out with your parents to a Catholic Charities thing and had wine and food. Like, I don't know where people get this idea that if you give your life to Jesus, you know, you're just like never going to be happy again. You know, it's like, Actually, I was just reading that scripture in Matthew I'm going to talk about tonight. Like, Jesus says, if you want to find your life, you have to lose it. That's how you find your life, is you lose it.
Denial. That's like the biggest thing, I think. Is like it scares people because like once you deny yourself to Christ, it's like that changes your life forever.
Well, then you have to make choices, right? Like my conversion was when I was 18, 10 years ago. But I've made like a lot of horrible decisions along the way.
Yeah.
And had to like start over hundreds of times, you know?
Right.
So I think that's the journey too about the Christian faith, is that God doesn't expect you just to boom, follow him and be perfect. Like, I go to confession regularly because I need to, because I'm not perfect. So that whole idea as well is, okay, if you're going to be Christian, then that means you just have to be perfect at all times. And obviously, as we're striving for holiness and perfection, that's the goal. But we're going to stumble along the way, you know?
That's Sarah's thing, striving, not perfect.
Yes. Is that one of your things or something?
No, Sarah's offered.
Oh, right.
Striving, not perfect.
There it is. Yeah, and I think it has really scarred a lot of people, the scrupulosity of thinking that, okay, like I can't actually be vulnerable with people. Like as a Christian, as a Catholic speaker and worship leader playing in front of all these people, like I struggle with stuff, you know? And I think people need to know that, like whether it's, you know, lust or even drinking, like finding that balance. I mean, I experienced loneliness a lot on the road. Yeah. And here's the two things about that. Our culture is so afraid of loneliness, right? If we have 1 second in an elevator, on a plane, going to the store, what do? We start scrolling. We can't even have a moment to just be. We have to keep filling ourselves, and we're so... I mean, more and more people that are terrified of being alone. Especially...
Do you think I'm terrified of being alone?
You might be.
I'm not.
Oh, that's good.
But I'd have my phone a lot, so you probably think I'm terrified of being alone.
No, but the idea, too, of, like, even in the whole dating world of, like... you know, finding a good, faithful person usually takes a long time. Yeah. And the whole thing is, like, I feel like people just settle a lot because they're lonely. But when you enter into the loneliness, Mother Teresa said it's like two sides of a coin. You either choose loneliness or you can choose intimacy with God, you know?
Wow.
So making that choice is tough because it's easy to go to the phone or go to the party or distract yourself. Or that's why I think prayer is really important, because when we're alone and quiet and not looking at anything, you actually have to face you. Yes. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is usually pretty rough.
Yeah, we got some struggles, people.
Yeah. But I think that the middle ground still is radical, right? So saying, like, you can still do everything that the world tells you to do and still be a Christian, that's obviously not possible, right? So
no, they're opposites.
Right. So there are things that were like, yeah, I just don't, like, I personally don't go to, like, clubs. Yeah. You know, I'm 29, I could go. Yeah. But I don't find any real freedom in that environment. Like, it's, yeah, you just kind of realize, like, all the things you're not. Right. You know, because you're just comparing with other people. And it's just, yeah, it's debauchery, right? It's not really authentic freedom. Right. So I don't put myself in those situations. Is that, you know, is that the middle ground? I don't know. I mean, like, I think the middle ground is still saying no to things that you know aren't good for you. So when kids tell me, like, I could still go to a party, right, and, like, be Catholic, it's like, I mean, you could, but for me, I know when I'm in that situation, it's extremely tempting. Yes. So why would you put yourself, whether it's in a relationship, like, can we just, like, cuddle for, like, 6 hours and just, like, be in pitch dark blackness? It's like, well, that's probably going to lead to something bad. Yeah. So I don't put myself in those situations. And I've made those mistakes. And so you learn from them. You know, it's like...
That's part, it's all growing.
Yeah, I think after 10 years of following God, I realized, like, I'm literally like a child still. Like, I feel like I'm learning so much more about myself, about God. And it's like, it's cool. It's just a never-ending adventure. That's a long answer to your question.
No, that's good.
What other...
No, that's really good.
Yeah.
So then, kind of along the lines of this, just because I think that there are a lot of people who are Catholic. Yeah. Born and raised Catholic. Yeah. And they call themselves Catholic. Yeah. But I was listening to a podcast by Father Mike Schmitz the other day, and he's cool. He's awesome, right? And he was talking about how we call ourselves Catholics, but we're not practicing Catholics, we're practicing atheists. Like, because of the things we do. Like, there's so many people who call themselves Catholics. Right. They don't go to church. Yeah, right. We party all the time, like, put ourselves in these situations where we're really just falling away from God. Yeah. So it's like, you can call yourself a Catholic, but you're practicing atheism. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's scary because it's true. it kind of falls in. I think the American way has made it so difficult for us to be holy.
Yeah.
So, just the amount of, I was talking this late, I was just in Las Vegas doing a retreat, not anything else. Funny, when I go to Vegas and do retreats, they're like, what are you doing there? I'm like, I'm leading worship. Like, there's actually a bunch of dope churches. Vegas, what's up? And St. Paul says, where sin abounds, grace abounds all the more. Boom. So anyway, I was there talking to this lady, and she's like, yeah, she goes to Asia for all these, like, work trips, and we were just talking about food and stuff, and she's like, when that culture comes here to experience us eating, they're like, how do you fit that much food on a plate? Yeah. Like, their portions are so much smaller, you know? Mm-hmm. And, yeah, we just go big in America, right? It's like super size me, you know, like every meal is massive.
Yes.
You can't just have little portions, and, yeah, it makes it really hard to say no to things, you know?
It does.
And I think when Jesus talks about denying ourselves, fasting and denying ourselves anything throughout the day is I've found, to be one of the most powerful practices in my life that helps me fight sin. So when I'm saying like no to a little more ketchup, or no to another burger,
I need to work on that.
or no to another drink, whatever it is, it's like denying yourself throughout the day is actually extremely healthy, because it allows you to build up just the power of the soul, which is the will, right, to choose. So no wonder it's so hard for us to say no to all these things, because we just say yes to everything all the time. Whether it's watching, 16 episodes of Stranger Things, which I would love to do, but probably wouldn't be beneficial for my day, Yeah. So it's those little things that, like, America never wants you to say no to any of your pleasures. But Jesus actually wants us to do that regularly, so we can actually experience them in a greater capacity. Whether that's with friends and community, whether that's enjoying a good food or a good drink, whether that's going to watch a good movie. Like, now when I go and watch movies, I'm like loving it, because I like rarely watch them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's true. It's like atheism is obviously on the rise, especially our age people.
It's scary.
But yeah, you can say one thing, but definitely now more than ever, as a Catholic, as a Christian, whatever denomination you're in, like, we have to live it out. And I think we have to be honest that we don't do it perfectly all the time.
No, we don't.
We're
not perfect now. It's hard.
Yeah.
So, that was all good.
Bang.
Good facts. Okay. Anyway, so we have a busy night ahead. He's got a lot of stuff coming up in the next few hours. So, we are going to cut it here. But I'm glad you guys tuned in and got to hear from this man. If you're going tonight, then it's going to be good.
It's going to be
I'm going to try to post this now if I can.
Do it.
So, anyways, I will see you guys in the next video. I am praying for you guys and love you. Bye.
Peace.